If you're looking to invest in physical precious metals or convert your 401k to a precious metals backed IRA, please consider making your investment with our trusted partner, MetalStacks. Their prices regularly beat the big sites and they have no credit card fees or minimums. Shipping is free for orders over $500. Just visit metalstacks.com/dwalker or get there from our website, freedomstate.us. If you're interested in the IRA conversion, drop me a message at Danielle@freedomstate.us and I can get you connected with their white glove service. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to For the Love of Freedom. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd. It's 10 a.m. Central, and I'm coming to you live on Voice of the People USA TV and radio network on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. Wherever you're watching or listening, please like it. Give us a thumbs up, share it, leave your comments. It helps us out so much. Well, I'm your host, Danielle Walker, and on this show, we meet people who have rejected the status quo, who've broken with convention, and each in their own way are working to bring freedom to the world. Joining me today is my friend and a regular guest on the State of Freedom, Joe Hoft. And as many of you know, Joe's professional background is in the world of corporate audit and finance. He's been at the forefront of the truth movement as an author and commentator since at least the Obama years, calling Robert Mueller and the Russia Gate hoax what they were when few others would dare to do that. And he's the author of 6 books, including a 3-volume set on the 2020 election heist that's received accolades from President Trump himself. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Thank you for coming. Well, you know, I love to start the show by framing it out with scripture. So today I always ask the Lord for this show specifically, and well, for all the shows, what scripture to bring. And this is the one he drew me to for today. It's Psalm chapter 27, verses 1-3. And it says, "The Lord is my revelation light to guide me along the way. He's the source of my salvation to defend me every day. I fear no one. I'll never turn back and run from you, Lord. Surround and protect me. When evil ones come to destroy me, they will be the ones who turn back." And Joe, I'm sure you know why the Lord brought that scripture up. You have been targeted for being a voice of unwavering truth, and we don't need to get into the particulars of that, but I did want to mention it as a point of fact and just encourage you that this scripture in particular is a shield to be used and a weapon.
Well, that's really cool. That's so cool. So much to talk about, Danielle. Just for your listeners and those watching, it's before the show, Danielle does a prayer, and that's just really, really awesome. And it's just what a nice way to set the tone. I was thinking as you were praying today, I once had a challenging situation I was going through in my life, and I was talking to my mom, who's now passed away, and I said, well, I guess I can always pray, for this person. And my mom said something I've never forgotten. I'm sharing it today. She said, well, that's the best thing you can do is, pray for somebody. And, she put it all back in perspective. This isn't just a, physical presence here on earth. This is a spiritual battle. And those weapons of prayer are really, really lethal against evil. And so I appreciate you, starting this off with a prayer and a scripture, and it's just perfect. So thanks.
Absolutely. Well, I hope it's an encouragement to you. I think for me, it started out, the Lord is the one who drew me into doing this in the first place. So I said, well, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So you better, you better guide me, Lord. So it started out from that point. And of course, on the political side, we started out with scriptures. That was an early finding of common ground for me and Chris after we met, was just our love of the scriptures. And it's been so interesting because it's it's become like a vital point for us to start out with scripture so that we can kind of keep things um, civil, keep our heads on straight, because you can kind of go cuckoo if you don't start out with something that grounds you, if you don't
Mm,
have like a home base. You
mm.
can it's very easy to get disillusioned and black pilled and all of that. And actually, one of the things that I was wondering, Joe, is, and you kind of alluded to it, but have you always been a person of faith? Because it seems like that's something you carry very close to you. But
Mm.
I'm wondering, has that always been the case?
That's a good question. Um, I was talking to some guys about it this morning. Um, and it was like, I grew up in a big family, 9 kids. I guess we can jump into this right away.
Yeah.
My parents had 9 kids. My mom was Catholic. My dad wasn't. My dad grew up in a Protestant family. He had 2 sisters that were missionaries. Now,
Hmm.
my dad's passed away as well. Both my parents born a long time ago. As a matter of fact, Jim and I had this big event last couple weeks ago. Now it's early August, and like the 10th or whatever. It was the 9th, actually. Saturday the 9th was really the first big day, and I spoke at the event, and I reminded Jim as I was speaking that would have been our mom's 100th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So kind of ages me as well, but it was a real special day because we had this event where we brought in Rudy Giuliani, who's been all over the news, General Flynn, Roger Stone, Lara Logan, glued it all together with her presence, and she emceed the event. She was just incredible. David Clements was there, Christina Bobb, Simone Gold. The list just went on and on of these great Americans. And we changed the name of it to Vindicated about a month before, because that's when Tulsi Gabbard came out and said, hey, I'm referring this information to the DOJ. And so it was like, we're finally being vindicated. We've been sharing this stuff for years and
Yeah.
been told we're conspiracy, been attacked, like you said, in every way imaginable. And every way. And then it's because we're sharing the truth. And we had a dinner on that Friday the night before, and I talked about I shared this, and everybody cheered, and I was like, wow, that was a neat thing to say, I guess. But it was basically this is it. It's the truth and God versus evil.
Yeah.
And evil hates the truth, and that's what we stand for, all of us. Whether it be Rudy Giuliani, Roger Stone, General Flynn, whoever, Gateway Pundit. It's we're standing for the truth,
Yeah.
and there's no other way. There is no other way.
Yeah.
And you read in the Bible too about, I think Jesus said this, right? You stand for me, or maybe St. Paul or whatever. You're going to get attacked. You are going to get attacked in this world, and we have been attacked ruthlessly at times. I'm thinking, my God, are the Nazis running this show? Is it Nazis or communists? What is going on? As we watch Trump, nearly get killed, nearly put in prison for life.
Yeah.
Every charge was a lie. He did nothing wrong. They could not find a thing on this guy.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're in a battle, and I love being on this side. I don't have any regrets. That's my belief. So, but yeah, it wasn't always this way. I guess I grew up Catholic. Went to a great Catholic school and system up in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Fort Dodge. I've shared the story with a friend in Australia. I used to go there so much for work. I had friends down there, and he said Fort Dodge. Can't believe that's the name of a city. And went to the Catholic school there, and all of my siblings, we all graduated from the same school. Our mom was a staunch, I shouldn't say staunch, that's not the word, a very saintly woman. And today I believe she was a saint. She prayed for our family for years. Our family suffered growing up. Our dad was alcoholic, and he was violent. And so that's what we grew up with. When you're in it, you know you don't like it at
Yeah.
times, but you don't know any other way really, and you keep it quiet. You don't share it with people outside your family. So my brothers and I were real close. Jim and I, my twin brother, real close, and yet outside the family, we were known as really good kids and excelled. I knew a kid who said to me, "Man, my mom used to say, why can't you be more like those Hoff boys?" And so, but then, unfortunately, myself and my siblings fell into this pattern of alcohol and
Mm.
addiction, and which probably isn't too surprising. Not many people in that situation that I grew up in are able to escape it.
Yeah.
And although incredible kids, just a beautiful kid. And I shared this morning too. When I started drinking, I started lying
Hmm.
because I can't tell mom, hey, I'm out drinking with my buddies,
Yeah.
when we're not of age.
Yeah.
So that came together, and I always ignored that as insignificant or what else you going to do. But if you don't drink, you don't have to lie, and that was synonymous for me with drinking. There was this connection, and my moral compass was changed immediately with that first drink because
Wow.
I couldn't tell mom and be honest with her. So,
Yeah.
and she, loved her boys. She loved us, and we went through quite a bit. And I'd say our family was as broken as a family could be for alcohol and addiction, as bad as it could be. I'm not kidding you. It was really bad. And I guess I won't get into details today on some of that, but suffice it, suffice it to say that the family was pretty broken
Yeah.
and really due to alcohol. But there was one piece of glue that I think in the middle of it was my mom, kind of like Laura Logan in our event, just was the MC and just, she knew everybody. She knew everybody's story and she loved everybody. And she was perfect. She's great at what she does. She's
Yes.
world class anyways, having been on like 2020 or 60 Minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Just incredible. That's what my mom was like, with our family, I believe. And, there's 9 siblings there and everybody has their own perceptions, which is wild, even in the same family. But,
Yeah, it is.
but yeah, isn't it? And so, but I didn't appreciate her until I got clean. And through a series of miracles, our family, and I believe my mom's prayers, years ago, decades ago, miracles happened. And over about a year and a half period of time, our family found sobriety. And
Wow.
and today has hundreds of years of sobriety with myself and my siblings. So that process has taught me about miracles and that they
Yeah.
happen. We can get down, we can be discouraged, we can feel broken, and certainly there's reasons for that. Some days it's tough, some days are tough, no matter what you're doing and how good you are and how much you've got it together. Life can be challenging, to say the least, and but miracles happen. And that big, I've seen a miracle. I've seen 6. Me and my 5 siblings have found a new life,
Amazing.
and years ago, decades ago. And so I've talked to people, they've never met anybody with as much sobriety in a family, immediate family, as me. And I've been around the world. I've been around
Yeah.
the world.
And so
So
are all 9 siblings in good shape and you know
yeah,
walking the right
why?
path?
Well, I've got 2 that's have
Okay.
passed, and I've got one who's now she's old and she's getting like forgetful Alzheimer's.
Mm.
And yeah, so the ones that are still functioning are doing great,
That's absolutely amazing. And what an encouragement to people who, there's this lie that says there's always one. There's always one in the family. There doesn't have to be.
Oh,
There doesn't have to be. Your
were
mom's
you
prayers
pointing at me
prove
when you were
that.
saying that?
No, I'm just saying the black sheep, you think that there people say that there's always one,
Yeah,
there's one in every family. And that's a
yeah.
lie. That's an absolute
No,
lie of the enemy.
no. We loved each other. We grew up with a lot of love, even through that, through really some horrific circumstances. We just loved each other, carried each other, and I didn't want to see my brothers hurt. That's the last thing I
Yeah.
did. We got into sports in high school. We were really pretty good. My brother Chris was good, a year older than us, and had a name in the corner of the state in Iowa when we were in sports for running and stuff. We were fast, and that was fun. And we good students. We were good kids, great kids. And then addiction can take over and destroy that. And that's what it is. It's evil. It's evil, pure evil. Evil versus good. And that's it's the lie. It's a lie.
Yeah.
And in an addiction, you'll be told things like, well, you might as well go, drink now. You've blown it anyways. Well, it's too late. Your life's over. At age 23, I was thinking, man, I've blown it. I just have blown it. And that was a lie. It's all a lie.
Yeah.
It's just lie after lie after lie. Might as well have another. All these thoughts that might cross through your mind. But it's a spiritual disease as much as anything. And so that part has to be, you need full recovery. I don't know if I could say full. You need God's, blessing. You need some strength.
Yeah.
And it's inevitable, I think. And that's how it works. And then great things can happen. Great things.
Well, let's talk a little bit about where politics entered into the scene. Did you grow up being politically aware, and what would you say is your awakening moment?
No, not really. I can remember our dad, and I've learned he and his family were Democrats, and my mom and her family were Republicans. And Jim mentioned this to me the other day. We have a great grandmother and her twin brother who were named after two presidents, Maud and Claude. And Jim was saying it was like Arthur B. Hayes and Benjamin Harrison or something like that. So there was some Republican on part of the family as well. I think looking back at history, the Republican Party was such a miracle to come out of nowhere like they did, and Lincoln to win. The Democrats were running this country, and this country was really going downhill. And slavery, they're trying to push slavery then out to the rest of the country with that Kansas-Nebraska Act that really made people stop and say, no, we don't want this anymore. And so I was, proud to be from a state from Iowa up north where we could say, hold this moral ground like, hey, we were the ones that freed the slaves, So, and I had some my great grandfather, my dad's dad or whatever, was in the Civil War, and on the other side as well. They were either in Iowa or Ohio. This one guy fought in the war. He made it through like 20 battles.
Wow.
And my great grandfather, and then got married for 50 years.
Wow.
After that. So
amazing.
What a life. So
No,
there's a picture of him with his son, and his son. My dad was the youngest. And 4 generations in this one picture. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So politics went on both sides. I didn't really get it until probably the 1990s. I ran into some people that were telling me more about, challenging the beliefs that I was getting on TV, because that's basically what I was getting. I didn't know the difference between, Bush and Clinton. And quite frankly, now, as we look back, as after I've learned lately,
there probably wasn't one.
Maybe there wasn't. You hear Romney or Obama or McCain or Obama, Bush or Gore. I thought there was a big difference there, but
I guess it's just who was getting the money at the time. It was really no moral difference.
I don't know. But I liked the idea that people were telling me about the Republican Party, and that's kind of started becoming more Republican. And then Jim in the early 2000s, our mom went and lived with him. Our dad had passed and she was old and she was living with him. And they'd sit down and watch Fox every night. And I'd go over there and see him. And we'd watch Bill O'Reilly, stuff like that. And then that kind of helped solidify more our belief in conservatives, like more than anything. And belief, I didn't like the media. I didn't like what the media was doing. That's when Jim started the Gateway Pundit around 2004. And then, and he wrote, because he thought the media wasn't being honest. And they weren't. Hello. And Bush was getting killed and he didn't know what to do with it. And and somehow he won that, his second election. And, but John Kerry was a terrible choice. I mean, just a radical lying communist. And, and I could back that up with that one book on him and the Swift voters.
Swift vote. Yeah.
It's like, this guy's a liar. He got all these medals. He says he was a liar. He maybe turned himself in for most of them, and some of them were a joke. And that's what the book just tells you, is from the guys that were with him, that he didn't do that. No, he was a crazy guy that came over to Nam with a camera, back in the 1960s. He was crazy, and nobody around him liked him. And that's who was running against Bush. So, but the media is really powerful. Then we saw it really terrible on Bush. Jim was writing at that time saying the good things that were happening that the media would never share, especially from overseas. And then Obama came in, and then, Jim was writing through that too. He had a just small little website, not many viewers, not many. I'd maybe follow, he'd tell me about stories. I'd check it out. I never imagined that it would grow to the size that it has.
Was he always doing it full time, or did he do it part time?
No, it's part time for at least 10 years. So he started like 2004, and I, at the same time, I got this position where I'm traveling the world. I'm for this corporation doing audits of all these businesses around the world, some that we were doing business with and some that were our own, and had this. Got to see all these great cities. All our customers and businesses were in these beautiful cities around the world. I mean, so I went to London a number of times and Montreal a number of times. Montreal was my first trip outside the U.S. And I was almost, I was in my 30s. And then London a number of times. And I've been to Madrid and Lisbon and other sites in Europe. Then after that, just on personal, South Africa a few times, and Australia. I've probably spent a year of my life in Australia on business trips. New Zealand, India, Thailand, Singapore, Shanghai.
It's amazing what
Beijing,
seeing the world does.
Tokyo
Changes your perspective.
It was really cool. It was really neat. And then got an opportunity to move to Hong Kong. So I did this work traveling, and then there's an opportunity to take over the financials for this international block, of this Asia Pacific block. And I got that. And that was just a meat grinder for a couple of 4 years. All I did was work. My friends would tell me, Joe, man, get something else. All I was doing is working. And did that for 4 years, learned a hell of a lot. I ended up, it was a $2 billion block of business, and everything had to be perfect.
Yeah.
It had to be perfect. There was no choice in the matter. It didn't matter how many hours you worked. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We care about your hours. We don't care about your hours, Joe. We want the numbers right. And it was a meat grinder. And then there was an opportunity to go over they asked me if I'd want to go to Hong Kong to start a regional audit team over there. So I was like, sure. And it was great. Spent almost a decade there. At that time, so I went over to Hong Kong in about 2011. Jim was still working and was still, doing his blog, we called it. And it got real big, and the left still would call it a blog. And it could be bigger than these sites that are calling it a blog. St. Louis Post-Dispatch would put a list of their local blogs, and they stopped putting Gateway Pundit on it, and because Gateway Pundit was getting more readership than maybe the Post in certain days.
That's
so
awesome.
it was like, what a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got big at around 2000, and I think about 2014, Jim just dropped the job because he was making whatever twice as much on the website, and he went full time with that. And then about 2016, when Trump came along, we both fell in love with him, and we're talking about every day, pretty much at that time. I'm overseas. That's when I started writing for him, and then that's so that's how I got involved and started writing about a post a day in 2016, and that point forward, and then came back in 2020 and wrote full time Gateway Pundit for some time too.
So it sounds like your awakening was probably a slower burn than necessarily like one thing that just set you off down a path to say.
As far as politically,
yeah,
I think it's probably like most people though. You meet somebody that just talks that you respect, and they just talk common sense.
Yeah,
and you're just like, well, that makes sense. That's what I believe. Yeah, that makes sense. What's this other stuff? I mean, really, today, I don't know how anybody could jump on this Democrat train. It's just, I mean, and Trump keeps putting him in these terrible positions where he's so good at it. Maybe it's just a God thing. It's just being blessed, because these guys are fighting him, cleaning up the crime in their cities. Something really weird happened here the last few days was that the head of Bowser, is that her name? The head of DC, who's married to Donna Brazile. Did you know that?
No.
Yes.
Or if I knew, I forgot.
Yeah.
That's right.
And she's now coming out and saying, we need to start working with the National Guard. We need to, because of course it's so stupid to be on the other side of, protecting people and their property.
It is.
What do you want? You want them all to die? Because basically that's what they do. They do. They do. Rudy Giuliani said this at this event we had, and it was profound. Some of these guys are just, they're just profound, brilliant people. And he said the only thing he thought that kept the Democrat Party together with all these factions, he says, is that they all hate America and want to destroy it. And that makes sense. That's what holds them, because they are insane and they don't agree on everything, but they do agree on let's destroy America. And they're so bizarre. Did you see yesterday that Senator, the idiot from New Jersey,
Cory Booker?
Just an idiot. I think he's got the brain power of a mushroom, and he announced yesterday there's pictures of him with some girl, and he just engaged to her, and there's these wonderful pictures. It's like, does anybody believe that? Does anybody believe that he just got engaged to this girl? I mean, everything's a production. It's just they're a bunch of weirdos, and it goes on both sides. That senator from South Carolina, who's a Republican, that was appointed to his position, has been able to keep it ever since. Tim.
I see his face.
Yeah, he decided he was going to run for president. I remember McCarthy interviewing him at the State of the Union or something right after they stole the election from Trump in 2020. Biden talks.
Tim Scott.
Yes, and Macaulay, is that his name? McCarville interviews him and talks to him after, because Tim Scott's going to give the message. They don't mention a thing about the stolen election. They don't mention a thing about the theft, about the January Sixers being starting to be imprisoned, about that big lie, about everything that we just went through. And when they're done, the people on Fox started saying, oh, that Tim Scott, he's presidential material.
So ridiculous.
Give me the guy. So he married this pretty white woman here a few years back. And I'm like, that's garbage. I don't believe it at all. Same with Booker. I don't believe this stuff. It's all just, who are you? It's gross, and you can see right through it, can't you? To me, I just don't believe it at all. It's like, no, it's everything's a facade and a lie on the left.
And I don't understand why people want to put their personal lives out there that much anyway.
yeah,
Like I feel like your political stance, people, maybe your wife goes to some events or whatever, but I don't understand why your whole life needs to be put on a silver platter for the world to look at as if you're a reality TV star.
I think it's because they're running for office.
Yeah.
That's the,
And they're
they
inauthentic,
want to
right?
paint this picture. They want to paint a picture, and it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's a
Yeah.
picture. Barack Obama was a great example.
100%.
What a picture, and what
Yeah.
a snake and vile person. I was just thinking about him, Danielle, earlier today too. How that guy comes in, he bombs how many countries? I don't
Yeah.
remember, 17, 13, something like that. Bombs. He gives guns to Al Qaeda, and then he gives billions to Iran. And that is the opposite of a peace president. Trump comes in this time, he's got about 8 or 10 peace deals already. He's
Yeah.
trying to help Ukraine and Russia settle things. I think Russia wants to. I think Ukraine is being managed by probably our CIA, our deep state, and then the European globalists. And they want a war. They want a war, and so that's been maybe impossible for anybody to negotiate right now. It's just
Yeah.
because there's too much against them. It's not Trump's willing to help, but no.
Well, there's so much money that's at stake. That's what it all
Oh,
boils down to.
oh yeah, and in Ukraine, it's even especially they've got a lot
Yeah.
of gas and oil and minerals and stuff there. It's a pretty wealthy country,
Has
despite
the
people being so
has the
poor.
foreign aid for war stopped flowing in? I know Trump made the Europeans start paying for the weapons if they want he said if you want Ukraine to have weapons, you buy them.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? And
So
he told
good.
NATO that, okay, yeah, sure, go ahead, but you're going to have to buy the weapons. We can supply them, but you got to pay for them.
Yeah.
And that's all of a sudden they didn't want a war, right?
Oh, surprise,
Trump,
surprise.
isn't it? Trump's had to be so smart in everything that he does because these leftist, vile, dishonest, evil people like Jerome Powell, his assistant now, Lisa Cook at the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
Jim and I were talking about her. She's just totally way underqualified for that position in the first place, let alone her crimes,
Right.
mortgage crimes that we're finding out about.
And and like Ed Martin says, all of that has to be scratching the surface of what the real crimes are, huh?
Right. And I think it is. As a matter of fact, I've talked to Mark Fincham. I don't know if you've had him on the show. It's
been a while.
He's got some new information on this mortgage thing. Another guy I talked to was Jason. What's Jason's last name? Out of New York. He dug into Letitia and Weissman, and I sent him stuff on Schiff. I gotta tell you, Danielle, I'll brag here a bit. That Adam Schiff stuff was stuff I put up like 2 years ago. A girl from California reached out to me with this stuff, and I looked at it. I go, she's right, and I put it up. And I think that's the new news cycle, by the way.
Yeah.
Somebody has a great story. They try to get it out. They find Gateway Pundit quite often. We put it up, and it goes viral. And then maybe there's a waiting period like there was here with Schiff. And then 2 years later, it's now real. They're looking at it because it was real from the start. Some of the stuff gets buried, which is really unfortunate, but a lot of it happens. I've thought about this the other day, this story on Act Blue and how they are churning money laundering for the Democrat Party. That story was mine. Again, it wasn't, I didn't, there's some that I have, but this one too, this guy named Chris Gleason in Florida sent me this stuff, and I looked through it. And again, my background's in audit and finance.
Yeah.
I looked at much bigger numbers than these, and I looked through it and thought, no, this is legit. And we had the source data was from the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, because everybody has to, both Republicans, Democrats, I suppose other parties as well, have to funnel their gifts through the FEC. It's the law. So they have these big organizations. For the Dems, it's act blue, that they funnel all this money, then these reports to the FEC. Well, what
Yeah.
we found was that these elderly people, it's what we found out ultimately, James O'Keefe found that after we put up this report, these people are donating small amounts from across the country, sometimes like 10 donations a day, to candidates maybe in another state. It didn't make sense. And the amounts were $100 range, more or less. And what's going on here? So Keith went out to meet some of these people, and they're elderly, that are beyond retirement age. Most of them don't even have jobs. And that's because you don't have to put down they ask you your job if you got one.
Yeah.
And they ended up, we found, no, these people, 22 million was going to that Warnock in Georgia in his election.
Evil. He is
22
evil.
million from across the country. Money it wasn't stolen from these people. Their names were stolen.
Yeah.
These people should file.
For identity theft, huh?
Yes. They should file a class action against the DNC. They'd make billions. Yeah. Billions, because everybody whose name they took, that maybe gave a donation once or maybe never did, somehow they got their information, and they launder the money through these people into the Democrat coffers. And I think that Republicans are doing it too. That's why Republicans aren't too keen on getting into this too much. But that's right. But the proportion is 100 to 1, I think. Maybe it's 100 to 2. But anyways, yeah, we uncovered that. James O'Keefe went out and identified him. That was the kind of stuff we put up at Gateway Pundit that, we had, for me, it was like, well, I would look at this stuff and decide if I was comfortable with it or not, because there's other people who send you stuff and it's garbage.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to put that up, and you learn you don't have to.
You've been so courageous this whole time, Joe. Like a voice in the wilderness, really. Where did that come from? How did you get to the place, because you think about those psychological experiments that we learn about in school, where everybody says the one thing, and so it's impossible to say the truth because everybody was planted to say to say the lie. That's the world we've been living in for I don't know how long. So to be the man that stands up and says the truth when it's extremely unpopular, how have you had the courage to do that?
Thanks for that compliment. Really.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's because it's the truth. So it's just, this is the truth. And so another example, mid-March of 2020, the whole world's freaking out. Tedros from the WHO just came out and said, we're all going to die. 1 out of 30 people is going to die. It's 3.4% mortality. Good luck. We're all going to die. It causes this major panic. And we did some research on him. Some people sent me some stuff. No, he's a communist. He's also a terrorist. He's part of a terrorist regime that's ruling a country in Africa. He's one of like number 4. Yeah.
So.
Which one?
The Tigray, Ethiopia. I believe. Yeah, in Ethiopia.
And he's like 5th in line. And somehow he gets this job at the WHO. He's not a medical doctor.
Yeah.
And then we find out he's got ties to China, and as well as his country, and that they've killed people and stuff like that.
I met him. I met him when I was working in Africa. Yeah, he was the foreign minister when I was doing African government affairs. Mm-hmm.
Who were you with? What were you there?
I used to work with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce back the end of, let's see, I started there in 2007, 2008. Yeah. And so I started working on Africa probably 2008. And right when Obama came in. So pretty interesting time. I traveled to Ethiopia with his U.S. trade ambassador, which is a very bizarre experience.
Did you feel safe
in Africa?
Yeah.
Or just generally?
Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah. I did. I think there was a grace there for that. There's also the grace of being young and, not necessarily thinking everything through. So I know that I had a lot of angelic protection looking back on things. I'm like, oh, yeah, that could have been bad, but it wasn't. So
That could have been.
yeah. But
Wow, that's
a lot of times
wild. You met him.
yeah, for sure. And the
Wow.
former dictator of Ethiopia too.
Jeez.
I
That's
know,
something.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah. And
totally
so,
crazy.
I was in Hong Kong when I looked at those numbers. And I said, he's not right. He's not being honest.
Yeah.
With the flu, they take everybody, they don't take just people that come into the hospital and those that die from those that come into the hospital having flu. They take an estimate of how many other people had the flu that they don't know about. And then that's your population. And the people you do know is the ones in the hospital. So the deaths are a smaller portion of the population once you factor in an estimate of how many people have had it. They weren't doing that with COVID. They took 1,000 people that came into the hospital and they took 30 that died or whatever. Maybe it's, whatever, you have to come up with the 3%. And that's how they got their mortality rate. They didn't gross it up for all the people that had COVID that didn't go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I could see that in a matter of about 10 minutes, put that up. We're the only ones saying it. And maybe part of it is too, it's nice being the first and you have to be the first. So so I put that up. We were on with Alex Jones a day later. He had one guy that was like, we're all going to die. And then he had me and I'm saying, no, I think I think the numbers are bogus. I think it's going to be like the flu. And I was right. Right. But I just knew that I knew from looking at the numbers, I just knew what I saw. So based on this, it's not going to be that bad. But then we get attacked for that. We get attacked severely.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And so same with the election, attacked severely because these were real big operations that they didn't want any truth getting out. And quite frankly, they hate us. They hate us. They hate the truth tellers.
Yeah.
And they can't stop us though, too. They can't stop. You can't bend the truth.
Yeah.
And that was the theme too of this Vindicated event. It's about the truth and they cannot stop us. The internet, they don't own the internet. Fortunately, thank God, even with all their efforts.
Yeah.
So that's it. I guess it's just about getting the truth out. After a while, maybe you like having a new big story.
Yeah.
And it's scary too because these people are evil.
They are. And the last 5 years have been so wild. If you just sit back and think of what we've lived through in the last 5 years, I kind of just, we don't sit back very often, I think, and think of it because we just are moving forward in day-to-day life. But whenever you sit back and think, wow, we've been through some wild times. And the truth is, loyalties, courage, honesty have all been put through the refining fire in that time. Looking back, are you surprised by those who seem to have exposed themselves as frauds or cowards, who you thought were like salt of the earth, who you thought were like with us in terms of telling the truth?
I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I thought Mike Pence seemed like a pretty soft pick for Trump, that he was going to be, just a good Christian man. And he's probably the worst to me, the worst. The more I learn about him, he's a vile person. He's very dishonest. That's my opinion. I mean, I believe, I guess he did a talk show. Is what is, before he became a rep, claims to be this great Christian man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst, I think. Somebody who claims to be a Christian or a good guy. These guys on the left are vile. Some of them are just vile. But people on the right that play the super Christian thing, and then they're not, to me, they're just as vile, if not more. And that's what Pence played. And he had a piece in General Flynn going. Big piece. As a matter of fact, we found out
Flynn doesn't have any love lost for Mike Pence.
Well, he shouldn't. Because Pence worked for the deep state and they needed to get rid of Flynn because he knew what was going on. It's like, they had to get rid of him. He'd already figured stuff out. Even when Comey told Trump on January 5th of 2021, the day before the 6th, where Obama had his meeting in the White House, he tells Comey's telling Trump, by the way, we've got some information that, you were involved with the Russians. We're checking into it, but we just want to let you know, right? Good old Jim Comey, who's the man of integrity, walks around. They called him Cardinal Comey, a vile human being. I don't think I've ever really, once I got to know him, ever thought that guy's anything other than vile, disgusting. And now he's even done the same thing with his family. His daughter, Maureen, for example. I could tell you a story about her that we've uncovered too, that we're reporting on, and now it's coming out. I don't like it when some of these other reporters come out and say, oh, we broke that. I'll tell you, John Solomon say after the Schiff stuff came out on the mortgage, he said, we reported that a year ago. Well, John, we reported it 2 years ago. Calm down. You're just not being honest there. We broke that story. And I don't like people that do that. And there's quite a bit of that in this business. But
there is.
So what do? You can't do much about it, but you can point them out. The thing with Pence is, we find out recently that Trump asked him to go over and look at some documents. And he came back and said, yeah, it's bad for Flynn. He's lied. And so Pence was 100% responsible for Flynn leaving. We knew he had a big part in it. I remember writing on January 6th. I'm writing away, staying focused on the TV. Immediately, I knew something was going on, and I was pretty ticked off. Jim had a couple other writers that were putting up all the stories from the media. Oh, look here, this, the police are getting beat up here, and oh, this is terrible here, and I'm sitting here like, that ain't normal. That's not right. You guys, stop. I almost want to say, you need to stop reporting that because it's not real. It's fake, and because I felt like I could see through it. And that morning I wrote a piece, and I said, today we'll know if Mike Pence is a good guy or a villain. His history will tell today based on what he does. And Pence was a traitor. And Flynn wrote me later in a direct message and shared, you're right on, Joe. You're right on. Oh. And so I didn't know that, but I know it now. Yeah, Pence is a bad guy. I saw him came out overnight with something about that Trump did. He goes, "This is the right thing to do, Mr. President." And the comments are like, "Nobody cares what you say anymore, Pence. Just go away, leave us. You're a traitor." Yeah. And that's pretty harsh, but it's pretty true. Yeah. And he was there the whole time. So we've seen. You said it, the life we've lived through, this is historic times. And I hear Bannon say sometimes a short period of time will be historic. I read a great book, if you ever get a chance. I don't read a lot anymore because I just want to produce, right? Mm-hmm. And but this book, April 1865, that's the name of it, April 1865. And so what happened in that month was Lee surrenders to Grant. I believe Lincoln is reinaugurated either in that beginning of that month or into the prior month, but I think it was the beginning of that month. Lee surrenders, and then Lincoln's assassinated, all in 1 month. Oh my God! That's and these guys intense. It's a great read about this historic stuff that happened in just that 1 month. And then he talked about the funeral for Lincoln and in DC and how the people cheered. One day it was Grant, and then the other day it was Sherman marching their troops through DC. Wow. The crowd they said the crowd loved I remember this part. The crowd loved the Sherman. They were and his Western troops. They were taller, leaner guys, and that would have been my great grandfather. He was, wow. He survived like 20 battles with Sherman.
That's so insane.
I'm like, oh my God, and the horror those guys must have seen. You talk about trauma. So, anyways, so that's it. That's what we're living through now. What we saw, the stolen election, all the things surrounding that, the Russia collusion coup. Barack Obama, and I mentioned earlier, Barack Obama comes in, everybody loves him, he's going to be peace and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. He blows up the freaking Middle East, bombs like 15 countries, 13, 17, whatever it is, gives guns to Al-Qaeda, and then gives billions to Iran. Yeah. And he should have been arrested.
Not
should
to
have been
even
arrested
mention
then.
what he did to our country. I mean, the
Yeah,
racial
absolutely.
divide,
Oh,
and what was the guns and the drug stuff? What there was a
yeah,
name for it,
yeah,
Operation Fast
yeah,
and Furious or something.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Tried to get rid of guns. There still are. No,
yeah,
don't. I hope we never give up our guns. I don't own a
no,
gun, but I hope we never do because they have a purpose. It's to
yeah,
protect us against the government.
that's right. What's your prediction or any predictions? I I feel this, and I'm pretty sure you do as well. A reckoning still has to happen with all that we've seen.
Yeah.
Both a reckoning for the media, in the media, and a reckoning in politics. What do you think is going to be? Is it a straw that breaks the camel's back, or is it something really big that's going to have to happen?
I think that's really a great observation. I agree. If we don't have a reckoning, then this country's over.
Yeah,
We can't have any more of this bogus stuff. It's now September. We haven't had an arrest. It's getting very, very concerning. Very, very, very concerning. I think we had evidence on Comey and others that you could have arrested them day one. John Brennan, he's toxic. He's a toxic individual. He's, my understanding, he's a Muslim and a communist. Was once a
wow,
card-carrying communist. I've heard guys. Somebody told me, pretty good source, that yeah, he went and visited Brennan when he was CIA director. He had a Muslim rug on his floor, so a prayer
wow,
rug.
yeah,
So that's John Brennan, and he's a little man too, and he's just a vile human being, vile. And um, we got to put these people in prison, or worse, if it's treason or whatever the penalty is. We have to start arresting people. We keep hearing it's going to happen, but we heard this with Bill Barr. Barr's going to bring the tab, stuff like that, and it just never happened.
yeah,
And he was a crook. And we've got to pray that there's more happening now with Bondi and Cash and Bongino, and now they brought in Bailey from Missouri, the Attorney General there. I'm hoping that they just start charging people. It's time. I mean, the people on like Trump and so many people that have been attacked ourselves, you have to bring these guys to justice. And it's probably biblical. I'm sure it's all over the Bible. I can't think of a phrase or what chapter or verse at this time, but you have to have justice. If you don't have
yeah.
justice, it's garbage. You sound like you're looking like, yeah, I know one.
I know one because I say it every day, and it's in Psalm chapter 91. This will tell you where my head's at, Joe. You might think less of me. It says Psalm chapter 91, verse 8. You will be a spectator as the wicked perish in judgment, for they will be paid back for what they've done.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, that's what we absolutely need. And until then, we're still a broken country. We've had miracles, though. See, that was the thing. You made
Yeah.
say historical earlier. I think, and I've made this statement before. This is going to go down 1,000 years from now. The most famous saying, maybe in human history: "Fight, fight, fight."
Mm,
Bar none, it's going to be huge if we win. And if we don't win, they will ignore that, throw it away, or associate it with Barack Obama or something,
oh gosh.
or Xi or something from China. It's it was really, really powerful. The fact that he survived that, turned his head, just this, and then just that extra little bit at the end that saved his life. Historic. This stuff. This is historic. What he's doing now is historic. He's doing great. He's doing great. We have to deal with our judges. We have to get rid of these corrupt judges. We have to remove them from office. If it means, in my opinion, and I don't care what people say, if it means we need to send the National Guard in to remove these people from their office and throw them behind bars, then we have to. These people are not working for the country. They are sabotaging our legal system and destroying it by making these judgments that are grabbed out of nowhere because the judge just just is a radical, non-ethical, disgusting human being. I think the same thing with Jerome Powell. Like Jim and I were talking about that Lisa Cook. She's got this mortgage stuff. And then jumping back to that, it's a much bigger situation. This is how they're laundering money as well. It's a money laundering scheme. Yeah. And talking to Mark Fincham, you can maybe get him on to talk more about it. But my understanding is, I used to be a mortgage broker as well. I used to work at a bank as an auditor as well. And I did a lot of stuff, right? But when you get a mortgage, there's a bank involved, and there's a mortgage through the bank, and then there's other forms that you file for legal purposes on who owns the property, et cetera, the title and all that. And what we're finding out is that some of these people that live in some of these really kind of crappy homes, they're getting money sent to them through the title companies, not even through a mortgage. And then there's no payments or anything. It's just somehow registered through a title company. And like, it appears there's something going on. These houses are these crappy houses. None of them are gorgeous. It's not like that house Schiff had in Maryland that he says is his primary residence, as well as his residence in California, which they all do. They're all saying it's primary both times. So there's a reason they're doing that. And that's what this Cook girl is involved in now from the Fed. And she's grossly incompetent and not able to, to me, she's a DEI hire who has there's no reason she should be where she's at. And then the judge now is a sorority sister. And you just can't make this stuff up. The judges need to be removed from office, and I think it charged. They need to be. We need to hold them accountable. You cannot have the rulings that these judges have and be of a sound mind. And you're a criminal. And same with Jerome Powell. He's costing this country $1 trillion a year by not lowering these rates. $1 trillion to every split amongst all Americans. $1 trillion because he won't lower those rates, which should be lowered significantly to the point that we'd save $1 trillion. And that would really help the economy. It helped the housing industry and all this. I don't know why real estate agents aren't screaming for this guy to lower the rates. And he won't, because he's a vile, disgusting human being. He did the same thing with Trump his first term, raised the rates, kept raising them, and just almost crashed the economy himself. And so these kind of people, we just cannot allow them to continue. They're too damaging, and the damage is too severe. It's like looking back at COVID. Yeah.
You know who else needs to be held to account? The tech execs who allowed all of our voices to be silenced in 2020 and 2021. And I feel like that's kind of gone undersaid lately, because we've moved on. Elon bought Twitter, whatever. Zuckerberg's visited the White House. Bill Gates has visited the White House, whatever. But one interesting thing that's happened in the last week or two, I don't know if you've seen this, I'm sure you have, is that the DoD has started making tech executives commissioned officers at the rank of lieutenant colonel, with this idea that they need to help train our DoD, like our soldiers, for irregular warfare in technology and AI, so that we would be some of in the best position. And I can't help but wonder if that's a double-edged sword right there, because I would imagine that of course, what tech executive is going to say no when they say, "Would you come and help us?" And then the ones after they do, are they subject then to the U.S. MCJ?
Well, we always have that risk. We've got to have real strong people of integrity in those roles. But it's true. I just think, you're absolutely right. This war over in Ukraine, drones are running that thing pretty much. Drones and missiles. I don't think there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just blowing people up from the sky. And that's going to be happening more and more and more. So, you need people that are, these video games these kids are doing today. I don't think they're all bad, because that's going to be the soldiers in the future. They're going to be sitting here running a battle, thousands of miles away, perhaps. And hopefully, hopefully if we don't have, wars and stuff, but everything's changing so fast, So I think, and Jim mentioned this the other day too, and I agree. Those aircraft carriers, they saved World War II. They learned that whoever owned the sky won, and that probably still the theory. Whoever owns the sky wins. But now you got a lot of drones up there. Some of them are little. They could probably do incredible damage, just a little tiny drone.
Yeah.
So,
SecDef Hegseth said that yesterday at the press conference, that he who owns the skies wins, whenever they were talking about the change in venue for Space Command.
Oh yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's how it was in World War II. They learned that. I mean, if you can't defend yourself and you get bombs dropped on you all day, you just, you're toast.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how far you bury yourself into the ground. Probably kind of like life too. You can't hide yourself. You got to face some of this stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. If you face it fearlessly and just, do the right thing, even though it's not always easy, well, then then your life's easier actually in the long run. Right.
It's true. Yeah. I think what you said earlier, even about lying, it strikes a chord, because being on the side of truth, you don't really have to watch your back so much. I mean, you know that what you don't have, what you said is what you did, and what you did is what you said. Yeah. And that makes life a lot easier to live.
Yeah. I heard somebody say that once. He said it was somebody who was a big time drinker. And he said, when I was drinking, I'd tell one thing to one guy, one to another. I was full of lies, everything. And it took so much energy, because I had to remember, what did I say to that guy last? And what did I tell that person last,
Yeah.
And for various reasons. And he said, it was so nice to just clean up and just start sharing the truth. If you share the truth, you don't have to remember, what did I tell that person? It's just life's a lot easier. So that's maybe what it is too. I don't know about this writing stuff. There is something, there's a reward to it. There's definitely a reward. You feel like a soldier of sorts.
Yeah.
In the spiritual war, because that's what ultimately, then that's where it, like we talked at the very beginning, that's what it is. This is all a spiritual battle.
It is. And I appreciate so much what you were bringing to the fight, Joe. You are just, I don't know, you've been such a point of authenticity for me. That's one of the very first things I noticed about you, is that you seem to be Joe Hoft inside and out. Like, I haven't seen you behave one way here and another way. What you see is what you get. And I appreciate that, because it's a rare quality. So thank you for what you're bringing. Thank you for your courageous commitment to the truth. And I think we're going to continue seeing some really big wins here. I think September is going to be pretty spicy.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you so much for coming on and spending time with me, Joe, and peeling back the curtain on your life outside of politics and before politics. It's great getting to hear that side of your story.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Anytime.
Yeah, you're most welcome. We'll be talking to you soon, Joe.
Great.
Soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Meet the world's first living, full-spectrum, certified organic CBDA hemp extract. Ness's hemp oil was extracted from seed to bottle without chemicals, solvents, or heavy metals, and it surpasses world-class standards for purity. This pure and powerful CBDA has been proven to reduce aches and pains, ease mental tension, and promote better sleep. To get yours today, visit the Shop Our Partners page at freedomstate.us. Hey, Danielle Walker here. I'd love for you to check out my online boutique, Luxe Lion. My mission for Luxe Lion is to showcase innovative African designers and sustainable, mission-driven brands. To do that, I bring you stunningly beautiful handcrafted jewelry and accessories from some of my absolute favorite places on earth. Small batch wholesale for storefronts is also available. Join me in celebrating African artistry and shop now at luxlion.us. Use promo code FREEDOM for an additional 10% off your purchase. Thanks for joining me today on For the Love of Freedom. It is an honor and a true privilege to get to spend some time with you. If you're looking for other episodes of this show, you can find them on all of the State of Freedom platforms. And a reminder that this show is live on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central. God bless.